Ready to move to the next level in your product career? I'm Shobhit from Intentional Product Manager. Join me as we discuss ways to help you stand out in your job search and your career so you can have more impact and make more money. Hey, I'm Shobhit, CEO and founder of Intentional Product Manager. Today, we'll be covering Principle 1 of the Intentional Job Search Principles. Now, these are the exact same principles that my clients who've gotten roles at Meta, Google, Stripe, Amazon, and whatnot have used. So you should listen very carefully. If you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you pay attention. Don't get distracted. If you're listening on the podcast, just listen in. And if you can, take notes because that's going to be fundamentally important. Okay, let's jump into principle number 1, the split second principle. Here's what it means. People don't make decisions based on all the data. They make decisions based on what hits them in the first second. And then they try to find data that confirms that decision. That includes hiring managers. That includes recruiters. That includes people reading your cold messages, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, or hearing your voice for the first time. And if that first second doesn't land, it's already over. Let's break it down. Part 1. Your brain decides before you do. Let's talk about the brain for a moment, shall we? There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS. What's the main job? It's a filter. It tells your brain what's important and what can be ignored. And you experience this all the time. Let's say you start thinking about buying a red Tesla. Suddenly, you see red Teslas everywhere. And that's not the world changing. That's your brain saying, red Tesla equals important, show me more. Now, let's apply that to hiring. A recruiter opens 500 people who have applied. A hiring manager spends 2 weeks interviewing 15 people. They don't have the time to evaluate deeply. So their brain scans for a signal. Fit or not, leader or not, strategic or tactical, worth my time or forgettable. And that decision, it happens instantly in the first few seconds. If your first impression doesn't say what they're looking for, well, they tune out. And every bullet you've perfected, it doesn't even register. Now, let's jump into part 2, which is why you feel invisible. We're going to make it real. Have you ever had a conversation where you felt like the interviewer checked out halfway through? Where like they were not even there. They were not interested. You were still talking, still explaining, but you could tell that they'd already made up their mind. And it wasn't your story. That was your signal. They didn't feel it. They didn't see what they needed to see in that first few seconds. This is the moment most people lose opportunities and they don't even realize it. They think, maybe I should reword my resume. Maybe I need to practice my star format more. Maybe I need to apply harder, wider, faster, get in the first 30 minutes of the job being posted. But the problem wasn't your answer. The problem was the moment before your answer. The split second where they formed your impression. Let me tell you about one of our clients. I'm just going to call her Sarah. Smart, accomplished, mid-level product manager, shipped awesome products, managed cross-functional teams, owned outcomes. But she kept getting stuck after first round interviews. Great screening calls, but no second call over and over again. She basically told me that I feel like they've already decided that I'm not what they want really fast. Like they're just going through the motions, they see me and they're like, cool, we're done. And she was right. Her energy in those early seconds were off. It was nervous energy. She led with the title, her tasks, her experience, but she sounded like a safe choice. She was trying to fit in, but didn't feel like a strategic choice. So we flipped the script. Here's what we did. We rewrote her positioning, clarified her message, and practiced her first 30 seconds like it was a pitch deck. Same content, same resume, but immediately showing across as a leader, immediately showing across as somebody with confidence, and immediately showing across as somebody who is a perfect fit for that role, just in the first 30 seconds. In the next 3 interviews, she got callbacks. Now, didn't convert all of them, but as we refined more, ultimately 2 offers. So, this leads us to part number 4. What are you signaling? Here's what most people do wrong. They open with years of experience or a title. Hey, I'm a senior PM with 15 years of experience working on XYZ features. Sound factual, sound reasonable, but it doesn't signal leadership. It doesn't make anyone say, hey, we need to keep listening. Now, compare that with this. I'm a product manager, 15 years of experience, but my specialty is bringing clarity to high growth teams. I've led 3 cross-functional orgs through product market fit, launch, and scale, where aligning product sales and ops behind one clear roadmap was very critical. Let me give you an example of that. That's a clear signal. That's somebody who knows what they're good at. That's a message that sticks. It doesn't just tell them who you are. It tells them why it matters. Your job isn't to list facts. It's to transfer belief fast. Now, that brings us to part number 5, the real function of positioning. This is where positioning becomes the foundation of your job search. Not about your branding or not just about your headline. It's a lens you teach other people to use when they look at you. Let me repeat again. It's the lens you teach other people to use when they look at you. And once you define it, you can shape how the split second lands. So if your positioning is, I turn chaos into clarity, well, that's what they look for. If your positioning is, I scale teams through systems, not heroics, something I need to learn, that's what will filter everything you say through that belief. But if you don't define your positioning, they're just guessing. They're like, oh, mid-level PM, and usually they'll just guess wrong. An example of this was Akash. So he worked with us. He'd been laid off. Smart, humble, high integrity guy, really smart, really smart. But when we met, he was still scrambling, applying to everything, no real clear message or positioning. What we coached him about was that, hey, you're not the fallback. You're the solution. You're the hero. No one can see it because you're not showing it. We built his narrative around certain core ideas. And then he started leading with those core ideas. I'm not going to get into specific core ideas because that's proprietary information. But when he did, and he did this throughout the funnel. So he used the same positioning through his resume, LinkedIn, outreach messages and whatnot. Everything shifted. He went from 0 interviews to like 6 per week. Like he had to turn away recruiters who were like, cool, let's go to the next round. He was like, no, I have just too many things. Sorry, you don't qualify. Because now people were filtering him correctly from second one. Which leads us to part 7. You don't need to be impressive. You just need to be clear. Here's a trap a lot of people fall into. They try to impress in the first second. But here's the truth. You can't impress in the first second. Clarity beats charisma. Signal beats polish. Ownership beats over-explaining. Think of it, you're putting that filter in the first few seconds. You don't need to prove everything right then. You just need to communicate something specific immediately. And then you have the rest of the resume, LinkedIn, outreaches, interviews to communicate that. Which leads us to part 8. How to fix your first second. Now, here's what I want you to do. Go look at your LinkedIn headline, go look at your resume summary, or tell me about yourself script and ask, does this make a clear promise? Does it tell the listener how to think about me? Does it tell the reader how to think about me? Would someone scanning for 3 seconds know why I matter and what I stand for? And does that align with what they need in that job? If not, you're leaking signal. You got to fix that first. So to sum up, that's the split second principle. This is where everything starts. Because if you lose the first few seconds, your answers don't land, your resume doesn't matter, and the door quietly closes. Because, there's one more reason here. Think of it, for the first few seconds, you've built a place for the rest of the stuff that you're going to share to land. And if you've not created that place in their brain, it has nowhere to land. If you win the first second, you control the narrative, and that's what this process is about. Now, in the next episode, we'll talk about designing your job search around your life and not the other way around. Because once you've got the signal, you need a strategy that actually fits the life that you want next. This is Shobhit from Intentional Product Manager. Look forward to seeing you in our next podcast episode. Hey, be sure to check out our website at intentionalproductmanager.com to see how you can level up in your career.